Hey everyone, this is Brewster, and this is, I believe, session 6 of, let me check my journal. This is coming into session 6 of my campaign with Romina and Vint, where they had just encountered the world map. They'd just crossed the river and encountered what turned out to be the bandit camp, and decided not to go in. And while they were moving out, they encountered a group of a bandit patrol. And I quickly put together this little map. And you've got Romina and Vint heading north, and then there's a couple of bandits with a little raven, and and I'll possibly try and work on the sizing of things to get it all better in future. But yeah, it looks okay. I think it probably, considering it's got a render on your screens. I don't know. I think it'll come out okay. I'm hoping that everyone can read the text as I zoom in and as they get closer. I can definitely read it when I zoom out, but hopefully it's representative. So, we're coming into a combat, and I could have spent some time reading up on all of the stuff, but I didn't. And the other thing that happened is it seems that all of the books got closed. So I'm going to quickly open those. I need to start checking these in order. Because it's very weird how that this seems to constantly close, how this works. So what I did want to do is there's a thing in here about running the bad guys, and it was, I believe, I wish there was a button to jump back to the start of the book so I didn't have to scroll through a couple hundred pages. I'm trying to remember where it was. I should have looked this up, and I possibly starting a video with me looking something up is absolutely terrible. Running combat and monster tactics. Here we go. So what we've got is we basically have monsters using their monster action, and then there's a system where monsters, based on what will happen, will get more and more likely to run away, and that's called menace. And the menace system seems a bit weird because in order to generate the menace, what you do is you have, and I think I've covered this before, you calculate all of the CRs of all the monsters, and then you divide 20 by that number and round down, which, if you're adding, and the example they've got is if you're adding, 12 kobolds at CR 1/8, then you get sort of a total of 1.5. But if you're only adding 2 CR 1/8 monsters, then you're literally going to be dividing 20 by 2/8, which means you're multiplying it by 4, which means your menace is going to go up by 80 every single round. And that seems weird. And that would mean if you use that table system as it is, then your monsters are basically going to run immediately. So I don't think this is a great system for me to use straight away. So I'm probably just going to go straight into the there was another system that was used, which was basically monster encounters, or what do the monsters do, which was a system that apparently got replaced. It was in the first book and it got replaced. And it was monster actions and everything. And you would basically just roll, and it seemed a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to try and run these as if I'm the GM, and then we'll go. I'll try and look into a combat system that works. I like the idea of it being a bit random, but at these low levels, it seems to. And I really like the menace system. But I think I need to set an appropriate menace point system. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cap the menace out at 10. So I am going to use the menace system, but I'm going to cap it out at 10 for now. So the menace X value is 10. Actually, I'm going to make it 5 because I do want her to have the opportunity. These are bandit guards. They're not likely to run. So we're going to see what happens here. I want this to be a hard encounter. So what we're going to do first is, I'm not sure if I can actually do initiative. There is an initiative system, but I don't seem to have it on here, possibly because I'm the only one logged in. So I'm going to have to track it in the journal. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll. It's suggested that you just roll for your characters and then the bad guys. And it kind of recommends in some systems that you just do your characters first every single time. But I am actually going to roll. So we know that the bandits are the main characters. So the bandits are what's going to roll for them. And Romina has an initiative of +2, as does Vint. So let's do Romina first. So Romina has an initiative of 20. So init is 20 is Romina. Then you've got Vint, who is on 11. And you've got the bandits whose initiative, they don't have one, so it's literally +1. They are on 11 as well. So I'm actually going to do it the way they recommend, and because their bonus is lower, I'm going to do Romina, Vint, and then bandits. So that actually makes it quite easy. So at this point, the question is, does anyone see each other? So let's make a perception roll for the heroes and a perception roll for the bandits. And I'm going to say with those rolls, which are dead on equal, and they both have about the same, I mean, the PCs have a bit of an advantage. I'm going to say that they're not really aware of each other. So Romina is going to just move, so she would basically be walking around the plants, and so I'm going to say she's basically doing this, and she gets to about there. So what was it? It was 5, 10, oops, yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So she gets to about there. They're just casually moving. And that's when she would have a much higher chance of seeing the bad guys. Whoops, I need to move into move mode rather than measure. So she gets to there. And that's when it's almost certain that she's going to see the bad guys because she's sort of walking around. And the question is, with her seeing the bad guys, does she do they see her? So this is much more likely now. So she sees the bad guys. The question is, with her moving, and they see her. So we absolutely go into an initiative thing. And we probably shouldn't have gone into initiative without someone being aware of each other. So her action now is to draw her weapons. So let's just say they were aware of each other. I'm really out of practice at this. So her thing here is she calls out to Vint and basically confirms that there's bandits there. She draws her weapons, and does she go defensive or is she going to move up? She's a bit of a bravado. So let's say she's going to move up. So we're going to say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So she's gone up to here. She's used her extra action to move. And with that, then she is basically exposed herself completely. Vint now comes next, and he's going to move as well. He's going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. He's moving a little bit more precisely. And he is going to cast a ranged spell. And the ranged spell he's going to cast is produce flame. So he's going to try and draw the attention. So he's basically going to, in his hands, he twists some fire in his hand and throws it at one of the bandits. Has he got range? The range on the spell... Oh no, he probably doesn't. The range on the spell is 30 feet. So 10... No, he's nowhere near it. Why did I even bother measuring? So he's actually going to continue to move 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, he moves up to beside Romina, and he actually uses his bonus action to put a shillelagh on his weapon. And I probably need to, for purposes of everything, I need to change these tokens so that they're facing in a particular direction so I don't have to twist them. Anyway, so he's going to shillelagh his weapon. So his weapon, as he's moving forward, he runs his staff through his hands and turns it into a weapon of druidic magical prowess. And now the bandits get to take an action, and they're sort of ready for them, but they don't have the ability to take an action. So the bandits are going to move up, having seen them, and it's obvious that the bandits, like these guys, are ready for combat. It's like, don't know why they've decided to go straight into combat. Possibly because that's a good. No, I think they have. Like they were aware of the previous town, and they're literally just making the thing of that's it. We can't afford to be seen by the people of this area. Probably a bad call, but I had made the call that this was going to happen. So, bad calls happen in D&D, and it was time for a fight. So the guards are going to move up. Bandits are going to move up. It's like these guys are actively acting hostile, and these guys are out here doing this. So they're sort of a little bit surprised, but they are going to move up and attack. So we will do the one on the left first, and it's just a random roll. Who are they going to attack? He's going to attack Vint. So it'll literally be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he will make an attack against Vint. So a bandit attacks with a scimitar. Yep, I'll just go with the scimitar. Scimitar's fine. And it's just a D6 plus 3 to hit. Absolute miss. So sort of stepping forward, wasn't prepared for combat. These guys sort of came out of the bushes ready to be aggressive and everything. And the bandits were like, whoa, okay, draw their weapons and move forward. They're a bit combat trained, but rolled a 1 on the die. So absolutely wasn't ready for that. Sort of trying to figure out what to do. And the other bandit steps forward and is going to attack. That's a good question. Who are they going to attack? They're going to attack Romina. Dice rolls speak beautifully. So 1, 2, 3. They move up next to their buddy. So they move up, keep some distance, and going to attack Romina. So not great on the die. Definitely won't get through Romina's defenses. So and sort of moves forward. Romina is just able to sort of lean back a little, like it's barely even close to her, so it doesn't need to block with her weapon. So Romina's there with her 2 makeshift swords, quite long, heavy swords, but she's strong enough to deal with it. Vint has blessed his staff, and they've drawn scimitars and are ready to attack. The bird. What is the bird going to do? So the bird is basically a trained bird, so it's going to fly up and basically going to pick at Romina to try and be a little bit of an annoyance, and I'm going to just try and position it here. So it's not worried by spaces, it's way too small for that. And it's just going to be a little bit of an annoyance to Romina. So not much of a chance of damage or anything at all. Hits armor class 15, which I think is enough to hit Romina. It actually hits Romina and sort of and manages to hit her for a single point of damage. So Romina goes down to 12 hit points, and it's just like this annoying thing. It's obviously like, so it's only a single point of damage, but it's just this irritation onto whatever's happening with Romina, and it's like, and now it goes back to Romina's turn. So Romina has 2 weapon fighting, and I just want to confirm, because I've never done anyone with 2 weapon fighting in 5th edition before, is with 2 weapon fighting, does your second attack have to be against the same target? When you take an attack action and attack with a light melee weapon that you're holding in one hand, you can use a bonus action to attack with a different light melee weapon that you're holding in the other hand. Now, she's got feats that she doesn't have to use a light melee weapon. Now, I believe that's with either. Dual wielder is what I'm after. You can use 2 weapon fighting, even when the one-handed melee weapons you are wielding aren't light. So scimitars would be, and her makeshift weapons aren't. So she can do that. She can draw or stow 2 one-handed weapons when you would normally only be able to draw or stow 1, and she gets an armor class bonus when she's dual wielding. So, and because she has taken the 2-handed weapon fighting style, she gets her strength bonus on her offhand attack. So she's basically able to use a bonus action to get a second attack with her if she's got her second weapon. Where normally you wouldn't be able to add your damage bonus to your offhand. So she's put all of her abilities into being able to fight with 2 weapons, and she can pick it onto a different target by the look of it. Yep. So she's going to try and use her main hand, her right hand. I'm doing this because I just do. Annoys my missus, I'm sure she's left-handed, to attack the bandit, and then she's actually going to try and swat the bird with her left-handed sword. But first she's going to attack the bandit. So the bandit, she is rolling to attack, and she hits armor class 16 because her attack bonus is with the makeshift longsword is +5. So she hits, and actually hits hard. She does 9 points of damage. Well, let's confirm that hits a bandit, actually. Armor class 16. I'm hoping it does, because otherwise she's in trouble. Yes, well and truly hits a bandit. So she hits for 9 points of damage. So she manages to hit this bandit for maximum damage, dropping him down hard. And then she's still going to stick with her plan and use the offhand to bat at the bird. And she hits armor class 14, which is enough to hit the bird, and the bird only has 1 hit point. So what that's going to do is that's going to drop the bird. No, not the bandit. I didn't want to do that on the bandit. I wanted to do that on the bird. So the bird falls out of the sky. And bandit's like, no! Bird probably has a name, and he calls it out. Like, no, Flappy! And he gets annoyed. Now, Vint is in melee range, but he has shillelagh'd his weapon, which means he now gets to use, if I remember correctly, I'm going to try and look this up, shillelagh. Use a club or a quarterstaff you are holding. For the duration, you can use your spellcasting ability instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls. So instead of using his strength, which is -1, he's going to use his wisdom. So he's +3. So what I should do here is I'm going to do shillelagh, Shillagh. That will have an attack. So he gets his proficiency bonus, which is +2, and his wisdom. So it's an attack of +5. And the damage is going to be 1d8 +3. So that's a really good attack. So if he's got this up, and it only lasts for a minute, but while Shillelagh is up on the staff, he is much better with it. So 1d8 +3 with an attack of +5. So he's going to attack the guard that attacked him. So and he hits hard. He armor class 24, rolling a 19 on the dice, and rolls maximum damage. So what was that? That was 1d8 +3. So he does 11 points of damage to the guard, which is enough to drop the guard in a single hit. These guys are doing well. So he literally just uppercuts the guard. It's like, and the guard is like, hits him in a sensitive area, and then continues up and hits him again in the chin. So a double tap with the staff, doing huge damage, knocking him back where the guard like hits the ground hard, and he's just out. Drops his weapon and just falls to the ground. And the other guy, maybe the menace is appropriate. The other guard, I think, is going to make a menace roll. And see what he does. And I am going to call this, I'll forget the +5. This is like 2 rounds in. Now, every time that someone got hit, it would have been, like by the roll, it would have been like +80. So he would be at like a +180, which means he'd immediately surrender. But he's not, I'm not going to call it immediate. I am going to call it, his menace value is... Yeah, I don't know. I need to figure out how to do this. I'm going to call it 30 and see what he does. So he rolls low. So he is actually going to move and attack. So he doesn't need to move. So he is actually going to just like, and he's going to attack Romina because he saw that he hit Romina pretty hard, I think. Well, no, he hit Romina, or the bird hit Romina. So it's like, I'm going to hit Romina because I've seen the bird knock someone down before. Not someone this tough. So the guard is going to attack Romina and actually not do too bad. So that is the bandit hit armor class 13 and Romina has armor class 14. So what happens here is it would have hit, except like he brings his scimitar up and is about to bring it down when Romina was able to cross blades and sort of jam the scimitar between them and push it back, which is not a move that he was expecting. It's like never, obviously he's never dealt with someone who's like able to use two weapons as a defense before. And then, yeah, Romina is able to sort of follow through, push the blade back, and then attack with both weapons. I think this guard is done for. The first attack, so she then brings around with her right hand and tries to hit the bandit, but the bandit is fairly good at dodging, is able to step back and not get hit. And again, she follows through with the other one, sort of expecting, like she's done most of her combat training against things like target dummies and stuff. So when she hits with the first one, she kind of accepts to have a bit of balance from that. So she follows through with the second, expecting everything to sort of follow through in a single move, but he's not in the same position, so he absolutely gets missed. And Romina is completely ineffective with her attacks. Vint, however, now gets a chance to act, and he's sort of been able to position. So Vint actually steps forward and tries to attack the bandit. And oh yeah, he hits the bandit hard. And this bandit only has 2 hit points left, and he's doing much more than that. So he drops the bandit down. So our heroes are able to deal with the bandits fairly effectively. Youch. So let's go to this and not worried about this. So our so R and V are able to dispatch the bandits fairly quickly, moving up and attacking much more skillfully than the patrol was expecting. And I think Romina is just going to end them. Romina then ends them. She's no, actually, there's a chance that Romina is definitely going to goes to end them. And does Vint interfere, or does he say we should ask them questions? No, Vint does not interfere. Goes to end them. Vint, there's a bit of a hesitation, but he doesn't stop her. Vint looks as if he is going to hesitate to maybe stop her, but in the end lets her do so. So the first thing that's going to happen is they're wearing leather armor, but both of them are as well. But Romina is going to take their weapons. So Romina is going to upgrade her weapons. So she's going to upgrade her makeshift longswords. So she's going to have scimitar by 2, and her makeshift longswords, which will have the same stats, now become scimitars, and these are sort of crafted as weapons, so these things are not going to be damaged quite as often. So what I've done is a couple of times when they've been used for some stuff, I've made some rolls and everything. In fact, I did mean to make a roll after a fight for what are the states of the scimitars. The first one is fine. The second one actually is damaged. So makeshift longsword by 1, because I'm going to go. Romina finds that one of her longswords was damaged. Makeshift was damaged when she blocked an attack, and is loose and not very effective anymore, but she replaces them with the bandits' scimitars. So now she has 2 really good weapons. But what I do want to do is roll on loot. So there was a thing in the system about loot. Page 152. So all the way to the bottom of the jar. So what we have here is they're only going to be carrying individuals, so it's not going to be much loot. So the first one is got 4. So what we have now is loot between the bandits is, now there should be, this is all done with just coin, but I might roll a couple of little items for them as well. I'm not sure how this should work, but it was 4d6 silver pieces for the first one. So that is 6, 12, 14 silver pieces. And the second one is carrying copper pieces, 5, 11, 15 copper pieces and 15 copper pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have in here, I'm going to have party loot. And I'm going to call that, I haven't got a heading 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go grab copy. I'm going to paste that in so I get the formatting. I'm going to call this party loot. And this will be the total. So it's 14 silver and 15 copper pieces. So 14 silver pieces, 14 silver and 15 copper. So that's what the party has so far. Now, I think it is a neutral that the guards will have something interesting on them. The first one, yes, and the second one, no. So the first one has an interesting item on them. So what that means is I'm going to go to the item table and I'm going to roll something. And this is where I could roll absolutely anything. So I'm going to go to the item table, which is rolling 1 to 400. So I am rolling 45. So one of them actually has a longbow. So, which Vint, I'm actually going to add that to the party loot, longbow. So one of them actually has a longbow. I don't know if druids can use longbow, but that was just roll. It had a special weapon and number 45 on the table. Like it could have been anything. It could have been food scraps or anything, but it was actually a weapon. It was a longbow. So it was yes and. So it was longbow with a quiver of arrows. But the fight happened way too quick and his habit was to do it. So is there something strange about the longbow because the yes and? I think it's likely, but no. So it's a longbow with a quiver of arrows. So they also get a longbow. Okay. Which is an expensive item, if I remember correctly. Like, I mean, cool, but I think that is an expensive item. Can't even remember where to look this up. It'd be here. So a longbow is worth... ranged weapons. A longbow is worth 50 gold. So that's an insane thing to get. So, yeah, that's just nuts. And while, again, this is like a fantasy game thing, while a longbow might be like too big for my imagined image of Romina, computer game thing, where you get your huge, gigantic swords that are wielded by the big bad guys, the big giant bad guys, and your gnome picks it up and can use it. Same sort of concept. I'm not going to ban anyone from using something that they find. I'm going for fun over realism. So it's possible that Romina is going to get herself a longbow out of this. In fact, I think I am. So she's just going to get herself a longbow. with arrows, and we'll track arrows later. So that doesn't go into the party loot. Now, the reason I'm doing party loot is if either of them wants to buy anything or spend, and I'm not going to worry too much about some general stuff, but again, a fun concept. I don't find like tracking, okay, you spent 3 gold on food and everything like that fun. So we'll see how this goes for me spending stuff. I might just like every so often turn around and say, and I'm going to wipe some money off for expenses or whatever. And it's like, they're doing a splurge. So let's just wipe a few gold off here. We'll see. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I will get better at that as I go. Okay. So they've won this combat and they're going to continue heading north. I probably am never going to revisit this map. What I am going to do, and no, at the end, I'll take a screenshot of this at the end of it so I've got a record. So I'll go back to the area map and they're now heading north. Now, this was still in hills. So now what I want to do is I want to roll on do the hills continue table. So this was... and I will get better at this sort of thing. So this was the random wilderness generation. And it was sort of in here. Hills. So what is in the next area having left hills? So the way this works is like there is about a 50% chance that it'll be continuing hills, but it could change to something else, although realistically this doesn't change to different types. I thought there was something here that it changed to types, but it doesn't. So how do I have it change types? I think I just have to choose to. Yeah, okay. I'd read these tables wrong. So I suppose the question is it still hills as it's entering farmlands? And I'm going to say that it's unlikely that it does. I think we're coming back into sort of... it's weird that this has all of these tables, but it doesn't have a list of what they are. I think this is going to be entering grassland. So let's say... Is it entering grassland? Yes, it is entering grassland. In fact, it's entering farmland. So what I'm going to do to indicate grassland is, so it's similar to what it was here. So the hills are in this area and the farmland is probably continuing around here, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do for the farmhand is I'm going to do a freehand drawing in green and I'm just going to sort of do some lines. So these are farmlands. So they come into the farmland, and I'm going to roll. Is there anything that happens? It's weird. So it does say that it goes to hills or whatever. This is weird. Some say that they have a change. Some say that they don't. It'll be interesting to see if some of the other books, as I said, there's some other books I'd like to get, have a different way of doing this. But anyway, let's see what happens. So yeah, we're just staying grassland. There's nothing overarching here. There's no weird thing going on. Is there... I'm looking to see if there's... I'm going back... So there's no weird thing. There was just some farms and everything. So they're going across. So this is where actually what I want to use is the 6D12 system. And this is where I've gone wrong. So the way the 6D12 system works is you roll on a table. And on that table, there's a chance. This is just a standard wilderness because I'm not in an urban area or I'm not exploring rooms or anything. What are the chances of there being a particular thing? So you roll a d12 and on certain values, there's high. So what are their chances of there being... So I have to roll 10 or above on the d12 for there to be monsters. So I've entered the area with farm 1. So we're now moving north. So this is the farm 1. This will get renamed Hex. So the d12 roll. Monsters? No. Are there clues here? No. So by clues, I would mean is there something extra that might drive another thing? Is there an environmental feature here? Yes, and in fact, according to this, it's a trap. So features with a trap. So something bad is here. Is there an NPC here? No. Is there treasure here? Now we know the farm is here. No. Actually, mundane item. So there is a mundane item in the farm, I imagine, or the mundane item that they could find. And is there a random event here? Very much so. There's a skill challenge. So what I need to do is come up with some sort of skill challenge, which could be the trap. So let's have a look at the trap. So there'll be a thing here for traps, I'm sure. Maybe not. But there is skill challenges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a D100 on the skill challenges and see what the skill challenge might be. 63. Because I might vary it because I don't want to run out based on keywords as well. This is descent between the party. I don't think I want to do descent between the party yet. They haven't journeyed together long for very much, and I can't think of a reason for it yet, apart from the fact that Vint may have wanted to save the guard. So it's talking about a swarm of tiny creatures. So what I'm thinking... Okay, I don't know how this is a skill challenge. So, maybe. So as they approach the farm, there is a buzz, or there is an increasing amount of insects and bugs in the air. What I'm thinking now is this caused by the fact that the crops haven't been attended and possibly there's dead bodies around and stuff? And I think it's likely. Yes. So these have been attracted by the fact, by there being corpses in the farm and the crops being unattended. Okay. So they're going to find something in the farm. So what I'll need to do is roll on the item table as well and see what they're going to find in the farm. But there's also going to be a trap here, which I've got to figure out. Now, there's supposed to be... I thought there was a trap table, but there isn't a different... Maybe there's a trap table in this book. Traps. Loot tables, NPC, down. I have seen traps. I know there's traps. Dungeon encounters, magic items, villain lair generator. What I might need to do is under here, I've got a tables index, which might have, I'm going to try and bring merge or Windows table index. Is there a traps table? Yes. Page 40 of book 2. So this is used in the battle map crawl system. Is there another one? Trap table wilderness, page 41. So page 41. So wilderness traps. Because the alternative is, standard traps could work. So let's use standard traps. So I roll on a D100. So what's in the area? There is a rolling sphere. That doesn't really seem appropriate. Spiked pit. Okay, that could seem appropriate. So the farm and crops being attended. So with the bugs, while R and V, or while anyone is in the area of the farm, they must make animal handling is what it suggested, so I'm going to stick with it. Handling rolls, and these must be individual. And if they fail, they will have disadvantage to perception, to perception, or disadvantage to anything that might be hampered by being swarmed by harmless bugs. So what I mean by that is if you were in like a cloud of bugs or anything, and it's like you're looking for stuff, but there's all these bugs flying around, you wouldn't be able to see stuff. If you're trying to fight and everything, and you're like breathing heavy, you breathe a mouthful of bugs, that's going to be horrible, and you'd have disadvantage. Or if you're, trying to do some fine manipulation and there's bugs flying around, that would be horrible. But certain things it wouldn't bother. If you're just, trying to, throw something out of the way or lift something out of the way, that wouldn't be affected because you just sort of and thing you put, all of that sort of stuff. So I'll make a call at the time. So there's your skill challenge. But if they make animal handling rolls, then they'll be able to properly put a mask over their face or something like that. But if they don't do it well, then that'll be a problem. So that's in the area of the farm. The trap is in one area. There is a sort of a cellar area, cellar, which is open and covered by a fallen tarp. So it's not a deliberate trap, and there is enough stuff under where the cellar is to cause it to be treated as a spiked pit. And what that will be is notice DC is 13, 12. The save disarm DC is 13. And the damage is, it says PC level D6, so I'm just going to call it 1D6. So that's the what's in the area. So this is the 3D6 results. Why did I do that? So this is actually I should put all of this under here. Whoops, not there. So that's the trap. And there's a skill challenge here. So I've got the skill challenge, I've got the trap, and there'll be something to find. So do I want to roll that now? Sure. So item to find. Let's roll that because it might determine the story. So let's do because I think part of this isn't just playing the characters, it's and hopefully you're finding this fun, is the learning what's going to happen. So I am rolling again in the first 100 and I've rolled a 57. So they've found okay, so the item to find was a common mold. So does that mean that this place actually has like a bit of a smithy and stuff? So is it a smithy mold or is it a different sort of mold? Yeah, so or possibly, yeah, it's a metalworking mold. So this is a metal working, I'm assuming that's the definition they're going for. Yeah, so this is a metalworking, a farm which also does some metal working and repair for the place around, and they have some metal working tools, including a mold that is interesting. So what is it that makes it interesting? Is it a jewelry mold? No. Is it a weapon? So it's for making... Oh, is it something like a holy symbol? Yes, yes. So this is a mold for making a holy symbol. So does that mean they've got precious metals here for doing it? Yes. Silver? No. Gold? Yes, but... Is it so a small amount of gold? Yeah, small amount of gold. And a small amount of gold for making the symbol. So there's a small amount of gold here. Has the symbol actually been made? Yes, and. Okay, is it... Has the person the symbol been made for here and actually dead? No. Is the symbol made for this person who was actually hoping to travel and use it to help deal with the disease? No. But is it a local religious person? Yes. So the citizens have of the area. Is this in violation of the dwarvish laws? Absolutely. And so yes, and I rolled a 20. The citizens of the area, I kind of like this. I mean, am I reaching out? Yeah, but it's kind of fun. The citizens of the area, in violation of the laws of the dwarves, have gathered together all of their valuables to make a holy symbol for a religion that used to be followed but has been outlawed by the dwarves. They were hoping to get a priest, an old priest who has been hidden away as a commoner. Were they a cleric? Yes. Who used to be a cleric but hasn't practiced in a very long time. Low level and unable to do much. Their symbol back so they could properly attempt to deal with the disease. However, the symbol was made and then the disease hit and everyone was too scared to come and collect the item. So the question now is, if Romina and Vint enter, are they going to be recognised? So overarching question, if R and V enter the farm, are the citizens who expected the symbol to be made here going to notice someone entering? So this is huge. This came from... I was not expecting this. This came from a series of rolls based on... So we had that. So we need to name the farm. Okay. Wow. So it's some the mundane item ended up being the mold, but that turned into a special item, and I'm cool for that because this story, I'd never thought of there being like a resistance to the dwarves. Well, I had thought of there being resistance to the dwarves, but I didn't want to force it to happen. Maybe I have. It's fun, and I'm enjoying it, so who cares? But the concept of there being like rolling for a mold and there being this holy symbol for someone who's in retirement, I never would have come up with this on my own. It all comes from rolling on that common mold. So we need to come up with a name for the farm. Now, I am going to do it using what I might do is I might roll once on the name table. So there are 6 name tables. So let's generate a name first. So table 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I then want a D100. So name of farm. So names. So I'm just taking notes and then I will delete them once I've got them, as you've seen me do. 43 is Maida, Maida. The next one is going to be, again, on table 5, number 63, which is Everild. So Everild. So the name could be Meveldi, Maveldi. Yeah, Meveldi. So that's not a word I would have come up with on my own. So it's the Meveldi Farm. So the family is the Meveldi. So I can get rid of this, and this is... I'm going to use heading 1 for this. I have no problem with that. So this is the Meveldi Farm. And this is some of the background for the farm. So I'm just going to put some background here. So that'll be background. So there is a pit trap. So there's a spiked pit trap, which will be in a barn. So in the barn, actually it won't be in the barn, it'll be in the workshop. So spiked trick, so there will be the area where all of this, and then in the area where the so spiked trip trap in the, not in the bar, in the workshop, there is a cellar which is open and covered by a fallen tarp, and there is enough stuff under it, blah blah blah. So there is a spiked pit trap in the in that area as well. So this is what I've got. So there's going to be all of those bugs flying around and all of that. I am, however, going to need to take a short break because I got a message a bit ago. So I'm going to end this session here. I think, how long's it been? A bit over 50 minutes, which I think is a good length for a session. And then we will have Romina and Vint approach the farm. So you're seeing some of the creation, as well as then the PCs will get to explore this. And I'm probably going to force them to find it because they're on this quest. So it'll be how they interact with what's here. They may not find the pit trap, or they'll probably will, but yeah, it'll be how they interact with what's here rather than everything else. So now it's all about the PCs encountering this, and I'm sort of working this system out as I go, and I probably will be for the next 30 sessions if I do 30 more sessions. Hope you're enjoying it. I know I am. Thanks everyone who is watching that, is if there is anyone, maybe there isn't. Yeah, see you for the next one soon. Bye.